We are recording. Boom. All right. So, welcome to the For the Love of Wrestling podcast. This is numero uno. I am the host with your most, Mr. Flex Guns, Flex Washington, and my side, my big bro, the one they call
the shooting star.
because stars never fall, stars always shine bright. That's what I'm talking about. So, we are going to have a lovely, lovely show. Um, but first things first, how are you doing, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. There's a lot of wrestling to cover, but aside from that in life, I'm just living. I'm enjoying life. It's hot in Georgia, as you know.
I do.
But hey, it's summertime.
That it is. Yes, I am also doing fine. It is. We felt the heat yesterday when we were chilling. So today's not that much different, and hopefully we got some rain coming. But speaking of a storm that is coming, you like that segue? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, look at that.
We got that should not be me. I should be off of this screen, but it's fine. We got Night of Champions. Night of Champions is going to be at Saudi Arabia, and we got a discussion about that. So, Mr. Shooting Star, do you want to take the floor and start off with Saudi and Night of Champions and what we are going to expect from it?
Well, we have to acknowledge the fact that right now it's some crazy times that we're living in. So we still hope Night of Champions happens, and if so, we hope and pray that the superstars and everyone involved in the WWE are safe in terms of travel, in terms of being there, and hopefully the show can go on. But listen, man, when you're dealing with the Middle East, and this is no disrespect to, our Middle Eastern brothers and sisters, but Middle East generally seems to have turmoil, and you never know when things are going to come up. And this is just one of those scenarios where no one could have anticipated that this would have happened at this time. Therefore, WWE should have a contingency plan in place where if something goes down, they have a backup where they can, safely host an event. But for the purpose of time, we're just going to have to treat it as if everything is a go and everything is ready to rock and roll. And with that being it, we got to look at the card, predictions, things you're upset with, things we wish would have happened or what could still happen. That's what we got to focus on. The first glaring thing that comes out to me is that it's Night of Champions and you have 2 championship matches only.
Yeah. I mean, look, if they would just call it King of the Ring, there would be literally no difference between those 2 names of PLEs. So I don't understand why you call it Night of Champions if the WWE Championship is being defended and the United States Championship is being defended. Now, there was an Intercontinental Championship that was being defended, but because of injury, apparently,
right?
We'll see. Dominic Mysterio cannot wrestle the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. So, like you said, there is only 2 championship matches that are going to be had at Night of Champions. And I mean, honestly, if I was a Saudi Arabian or a person that was going to Saudi Arabia and, wanting to see this PLE, I mean, am I really looking forward to it? I'm looking forward to see John Cena in his last year, of course. That's beautiful. And you get to see probably the biggest opponent he has besides, Cody Rhodes. This is a 14-year rivalry.
Right.
And 14 years basically to the day, close to it. So, is that the price of admission? Is that worth the price of admission? To me, if I'm an American flying over to Saudi Arabia for whatever reason, no. If I'm a Saudi Arabian that I don't get, maybe I get two per year, 2 PLEs per year. So,
Right.
And one of them is John Cena. And I think the last time we seen John Cena in Saudi Arabia, I think it was probably Crown Jewel when he was getting his voice box
By Solo.
by the big Solo Sikoa. So, they honestly, it's the end of the year. John Cena needs to make his due. He knows he needs to go through his heel turns being, heightened right now.
Right.
So I just feel like at the end of the day, is all of this worth it? Could they have, and this is Wednesday, but could they have shut it down by the beginning of Monday in the hopes that you can find another venue? And within 4 to 5 days, it's kind of tough. But you do have this looming over everybody's head of, is it safe? And that's the biggest question that we should be talking about is it safe? And if it is, great. But from politics right now, I'm not going to get into politics, but because of politics, it's not safe. If the politics was not happening right now, we have no question. It would just be same old complaining about, well, why does Saudi Arabia get this? And, France should get something, even if they get something later, and London should get something, and, whoever, Germany. And I mean, they were over there in a little bit, for the WrestleMania, Road to WrestleMania tour, but it just seems like this might have been a wake-up call for TKO, at least an apprehension of, wait, can we keep doing this? Is this business worth our time?
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, I think it's foolish to not anticipate or at least consider any potential risks with this site. And just because you've been, I guess, pretty lucky or pretty fortunate that nothing has happened and there hasn't really been any noise about anything possibly happening, you're kind of like, all right, well, it's just another Saudi event where, we're going to have to travel far and we're not going to have any issues. But, we're here now. And the issue itself is not with Saudi Arabia, it's the region. And you're just running that risk. So, I mean, that's really a corporate issue. But, I mean, it's money driven. So, like I said, we just have to hope that all goes well. Everyone is safe. Everyone comes back safely. And maybe moving forward, by the time we have the next Saudi event, they have something in place in the event that the Middle East relations don't improve by then. Because, these things are not a week long. These are not short-term feuds. These feuds have been going on for decades. So, yeah, hopefully they have something in place. And the second that they get any type of news, they'll be able to just figure it out. And I guess because this is unprecedented, they probably didn't want to run the risk of, would we sell X amount of tickets in 4 or 5 days? I don't know. I mean, you'd have to forego the pre-sale and just sell them. But I think they're afraid of not having a sold out show or a majority sold out show.
Yeah. And like you said, that's the biggest thing with TKO is that they need the money. They need all of the dollars to be racked in. And, at the end of the day, they are a business. They're a big business. They are a business that has been growing for the last 10 years. And my biggest question is, can they sustain this growth that they're having, especially overseas, especially in the United States, which does get us into the next part of that money.
Yeah.
Money. Yeah. So we are now going to talk about the ticket prices. We are Georgians, whatever you want to say, ATLians, Georgians, whatever. So coming up, there is a Saturday Night Main Event, and there is also an Evolution. There's also a Great American Bash that is happening 2.5 weeks. So we are big, and this is full transparency for y'all. We are big on pre-sailers. We are big pre-sailers. In the case of, we are trying to maximize our profit. Obviously, we're trying to make sure that we get the best tickets for the most affordable, because we're not those people that just sit in the front row for $2,000. We don't have $2,000 to be blowing like that. So I think it's very important for us to, find where we can sit at, where we can have a good time, enjoy ourselves, but not feel like we are getting duped or getting gypped out of the experience, which is a PLE, a Raw, a SmackDown, an NXT event, and whatnot. So we have recently seen that TKO / WWE, in this case, they are, let's just be frank about it, they are having a problem selling tickets. Are they having a problem selling all the tickets? No. But they are having a problem selling tickets as quickly as they want to. Now, this could be just an Atlanta issue. However, we have seen tickets go from the price of, let's say, $500 for lower level tickets. Lower level / floor tickets are really between $300 to $800 roughly. So now when you go, and that's a combo. So for 2 days, you buy that amount, and that's what we did. Now, what we have seen is the single day tickets that have been released today, where Evolution by itself, lower level, $90. Floor, $150. And not just floor in the sense of like, oh yeah, like you're in the pack and all that. No, like you're basically where the entrance is. $150. Boom. Saturday Night Main Event. Those lower level tickets, $226. Obviously, the floor is like $300 to $400. That's a lot. So I think my biggest question, and obviously I want you to answer this as well, is why do you think that there's a price disparity between Evolution and Saturday Night Main Event, and also between single tickets and dual day, double day tickets?
Well, unfortunately, I believe these tickets represent an America-wide problem. Mm-hmm. That if you're gonna have a women's only show, I think women in the WWE get paid less than the men. Therefore, you don't have to charge as much for the tickets. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is maybe there's something they know that we don't. And that being, wow, this is really not going to sell out. We need to make these prices as affordable as possible, because even if financially this isn't the most money they make from ticket sales, but it's almost like they need to hear that Evolution 2 was sold out. And if that means that, we're going to lower the prices, so be it. No one's really going to pay attention to that. They're going to, because again, you have to think about it. In this era, they're going to pay attention to empty seats. There's going to be someone with a picture, and they're going to say, oh, well, All In didn't have empty seats. And all of the WWE events are going to have to be full. So I believe that's probably the major reasons why. And I really don't think it has to do with the quality of the show. I think it's going to be a banger no matter what they put on. But especially with Triple H saying he's trying to put as many women on the show as possible, you're also going to have women who necessarily don't have major storylines or women who aren't on TV every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that really does play a role in the ticket prices. Saturday night's main event, we don't know all the matches yet, but assuming that there is at least one women's match that for whatever reason doesn't make it to Evolution, then I would probably say again too, the men get paid more. You have Goldberg, who obviously is, just because of his name alone, he's going to get a hefty bag for this show. Who knows what they have planned? I mean, we don't know if someone like Cena is advertised or if Roman or whoever else. Probably a Seth match is going to happen. But these are the guys that are the top earners. Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso. These are also people who move merch. The merch movers are mostly the men. I think the top merch mover for the women is Rhea. And that's one person. Even someone who's not on the world championship level in terms of like been a champion, someone like LA Knight, merch seller.
Yep.
Karrion Kross, merch seller.
Mm-hmm.
So Saturday night's main event, you're going to get the established stars on that show. Evolution, it's going to be one of those, everyone's going to get an opportunity to kind of showcase themselves, whether they're, top tier level, championship level, mid card or lower card. And I don't think it's going to be your traditional, like 5-match PLE for Evolution. So I don't know. I really think that's what it is. But anything else that you'd like to add in terms of the price, the price difference between the two shows?
Yeah, I just feel like I just remember when TKO prices would just be so obnoxious. Let's just be real. It was obnoxious. Even in the sense of now, even SummerSlam prices we've seen where there was like $20,000 floor seats,
right,
for SummerSlam, and that's like wild to think about because you think about MetLife Stadium, it's a bigger stadium. Obviously, it holds more, so you would think that those prices wouldn't be so gouged, and I haven't looked at those SummerSlam prices, but I can only assume that because it's New York and because, it's SummerSlam and it's the first 2-night SummerSlam that they're trying to go all out and they're trying to make their money back from whatever that they will put into this SummerSlam. Because as consumers, we hope that the SummerSlam is going to be amazing. We don't want WWE to fail. We don't want necessarily TKO to fail in the sense of, they have done good things for WWE's exposure. Let's say that. Now, once again, they're money hungry. That's what they are. They're a business. Their business wants to make money as much as they can. And sometimes they spite their consumers in order to make that money. However, I do think that this Saturday night main event, being that it could just be because people don't want to see Goldberg. We didn't see the previous Saturday night main event prices in Tampa, but we seen that it was John Cena was the face of the Saturday night main event. So obviously John Cena is a needle mover. No, sorry, Roman, but he still is a needle mover. Is Goldberg a needle mover? Is Gunther a needle mover? Not like John Cena.
It's gonna spark some interest because it's in Atlanta. And
okay.
and I guess they're kind of hanging their hat on we've seen this before. how's this gonna end?
Mm.
Because they teased it. They teased it when Michael Cole had his interview with Goldberg. He also mentioned, which they didn't show on Raw, but Michael Cole had said when he asked Goldberg, but what happens if you win the world title?
Mm-hmm.
Goldberg's response was, well, then I guess we have an interesting dilemma now, don't we? So they're already teasing the fact that he could win. Now, even if whether that turns into a cash in, I'm not there yet. But whenever you're dealing with Goldberg coming back, you always have to consider, man, he's won before.
Mm-hmm.
He's also won when the fans didn't want him to win. So why is it different now? Because as much as you could be unhappy with him winning, you're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. And now, with them competing with AEW that weekend,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like good or bad, controversy is controversy.
Yeah.
But is that enough for people to? Is that enough for people to buy up tickets? I mean, we still got time.
Yeah, we will see. And just to kind of put a bow on this conversation about the tickets, we literally seen the tickets in the 2-hour time period go down like $10. Maybe they were expecting people to be on the, pre-sale, be in the queue, making sure that like maybe they didn't see enough people in the queue and all that, and they were like, wait a minute, people really don't care, or they're just not trying to put their money into this. We need to drop it down even more. And that was
Right.
at 12 o'clock. We seen that, so it could have went down even more, and it's 5 right now. So I will say, basically, you got to really sell people on what they want to watch. And right now, I would say that WWE is selling Night of Champions. So this following week, we just seen a Raw, we just seen a SmackDown, obviously, and then we seen NXT, which we will talk about. I have a discussion about NXT, but I don't want to get into that yet because it's going to anger me. So, well, actually, before I start, have you seen NXT this week?
I have not.
Do you mind me getting mad, or do you want me to wait until you watch it?
Oh no, get mad.
Okay, because I'm going to have to spoil some things for NXT for you.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm not going to do it yet, though. What I will say is, Raw. I'm going to combine my Raw and SmackDown take as one.
Okay.
Because we're going to take takes from each of those shows, and we have our own little takes about it. I have a big problem with tag team division, and now it's starting to creep into the men's tag team. Here's why I have a problem. SmackDown's tag team division, I would venture to say, it was the most exciting thing on SmackDown. Leading up until WrestleMania, even a little bit after WrestleMania. The TLC match that the Street Profits, DIY, and the Motor City Machine Guns had was literally made me feel like an 8-year-old watching the TLC matches of the Hardys, the Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. It was amazing. It was what we needed. It was the thing that made tag team division say on SmackDown say, you're not going to put us in the mid card. You're not going to put us as a side note on the show. We can put a main event storyline out there and add it up and combine it with a main event match.
Right.
Raw is the exact opposite of that. Raw's tag team division is the New Day. That's it. The War Raiders, I believe Ivar or Eric, one of them is hurt, so they can't do anything right now. And plus, their title reign wasn't all that great to begin with.
Right.
The Creed brothers, for whatever reason, are not wrestling right now. Maybe they're hurt. We didn't see them in the past Raw, so I don't know what's going on with them right now.
Right.
So now what you have is you have the New Day versus the Judgment Day. Funny enough, Finn and JD versus Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston next week. I do not like the way that the Raw Tag Team division is being booked because they don't have tag teams, truth be told. Let's just call a spade at this moment. They don't have tag teams. SmackDown has all of the tag teams. They have Praxi, DIY. They have Pretty Deadly, even though Have a Pretty Deadly's hurt right now. They have the Street Profits as the champion. They have the Motor City Machine Guns. They have Legado del Fantasma, who is the current AAA tag team champions right now. They didn't show them on the show. And what they did, which I'm really not happy about, is the Wyatts have now intruded in that tag team division. We love the Wyatts. We want the Wyatts to do great. For Bray Wyatt is our favorite. Me and his favorite, one of our favorites. We love him. But you have the Wyatt Six now in the tag team division. They have a match against the Street Profits on Friday. And it just felt like they just threw a monkey wrench on all the progress that those tag teams did. Because the Motor City Machine Guns got washed by the Wyatt Six. Washed. So you're telling me that, the Street Profits are going to get washed? No. The Street Profits got to go over. But how are they going to go over against a tag team that you just brought in, that you want to make better? How is this story going to work? And maybe I'm trying to figure out the end of the movie before watching the movie. Maybe I need to just sit my ass down, like The Rock says. Sorry for cursing, but sit my ass down and enjoy the ride. But there was nothing wrong with the ride. There was nothing wrong with the story beforehand. And I feel like now they're picking up pieces of a tag team division that they had no business breaking in the first place. What are your thoughts on it?
I really think that this idea that the tag teams are just scared of the Wyatt Six should not be the reason why the Street Profits lose to them. I mean, you had all the tag teams with Nick Aldis, and then they were literally like, so who's going to face the Wyatts? And then it was Motor City Machine Guns, blah, blah, blah. I think it's too soon. And, who's next? It's just the spook factor right now. I really don't think this is how it should go. I really think that the presentation of the Wyatt Six, attacking all of the tag teams, that was cool. But I would rather have the Wyatt Six focus on a particular tag team while having the Street Profits have a feud or a program with the others for the time being. And the reason for that is that the Wyatt Six, specifically Dexter Lumis and Joey Gacy, give them a few more matches. Let the fans accept them as they've accepted the other tag teams. Build them up in that sense. And I'm talking about the in-ring part matters too, because that in-ring performance versus Motor City Machine Guns, it was sloppy.
Mm-hmm.
When you have all these tag teams that are just trying to get to the top for so long, and during that span, yes, DIY were champions, Motor City Machine Guns were champions, Street Profits, obviously. maybe you don't fully have the Wyatts climb to the top. Have them, have them earn it. Don't give them the title shot just because they beat one of the teams. I would have them face DIY. I mean, the thing is, the division is so good that it's starting to feel like they don't know what to do. Where they have too many options. Because if any of those tag teams are champions right now, no one's really complaining because you're like, well, we already know that you have credible contenders. We already know that if, any two of those tag teams had a best of 5, it's probably going to 5 matches.
Of course.
That's how good it is. But they just need to be creative, and maybe it's not necessarily, all of these one tag team versus one tag team. Maybe, they just have to make it a little bit more interesting. Even the match itself. Do a tornado tag. I don't know why they don't do that more often. Have a elimination tag where you include 4 teams. Now, obviously, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that all the time, but you could also announce that, this tag team turmoil is for the number 1 contender. The Wyatts won 1 match and automatically face the Street Profits. That's weird.
Do you think it's a Saudi? Because truth be told, I'll say this real quick.
No, it's on SmackDown.
The SmackDown, that's what I'm saying, though. They're going to be in Saudi on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah.
So it's funny that Night of Champions, there's only 2 title defenses, but on SmackDown, I think there's 3.
There's 3.
The tag team division is the tag team champs are being the tag team titles are being defended.
Yep.
Also, the Women's United States Championship is being defended, and I believe there's one more. Not the men's US.
It's the women's US.
Yeah, the women's US, and then the tag team. There was, and I think there's another one, but yeah, Tiffany. Tiffany is facing Nia Jax. Yeah,
that's the last woman standing match.
Yep, the last woman standing match. So there's 3 of them. There's more title defenses on the SmackDown before than there is on the Night of
actual
right. So honestly, bro, I just think that the tag team division as a whole, even the women's tag team division, they're thinking about getting rid of it. And it's like, this is going to tie into my NXT rant. So if you don't mind me, I'm about to rant. So if you're okay with it, then I'm okay. But if not, I can hold off. I
just have one last comment to say about something you said.
Yes, go ahead. Of course.
Now I don't know if you meant this literally or not, but if they get rid of the tag team division, that's a lot of superstars without a job. I'm just saying. Because there are a lot of superstars that they will just not excel on their own. Or, as they always like to use the word specialty, their specialty is in a tag team. Doesn't mean they can't hold their own, but that sounds like a bunch of releases to me.
Honestly, it does.
Like, are you gonna find immense value in Chris Sabin as a solo superstar? No offense.
I mean, they did it in TNA, but that's not the point. The point is that Moxie Machine Guns is a legendary tag team. Right. Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin are great, but they're not together. They're wonderful.
Right, but even in TNA, you're comparing these individuals to the top stars in a stacked roster.
Exactly.
Where if we're saying someone LA Knight can't win Money in the Bank, he can't get a world title shot. You have those upper mid cards. You have Damian Priest. You have Drew McIntyre, who should be in the world title picture, but is always doing these other things. If those guys can't compete for a championship in recently, then how are any of these solo tag team guys gonna do it? Because of course everyone keeps saying for years, Montez Ford is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
How do I know Montez is not gonna be another Carmelo Hayes? All the promise in the world, mad athletic, but they impose a ceiling on them. And it's like, you want to push Montez to that level, but like, who you knocking off? You know, you got like, you have the Gunthers, you have the Punks, you have Rollins, you have Roman, you have Jey Uso, you have Gunther, you have Cena. Like, there's a lot of guys. And sure, Cena's leaving. You got Randy, you got Cody. And then you have other guys who are expected to already get into that role. Jacob, Braun Breaker, LA Knight. Which year? Which year will it be Montez's time when he's no longer as athletic and now his skill set is a little different because he's older? That's struck when the iron's hot. So that's my only issue with kind of having the tag team division die, is that now you really don't have need for all these superstars. And now the only time you can have more than one person in a match is if, oh, you got beef with so-and-so, well, I got beef with so-and-so. All right, let's just have a tag team main event of Monday Night Raw, but we're not a tag team though. We just have, similar interests, common enemies, etc. So that would be a scary day, bro.
Now, I don't think that the men's tag team is going to dissolve, but the women's tag team is literally on life support, and they're about to pull the plug.
No, I mean, yeah, they're just waiting for their eviction notice. Because the men's tag team, they have tag teams. They're just not really doing anything with them or creating a storyline where we get interested in them. The women's tag team, what women's tag team?
Right.
That's honestly all I have to say about that.
Yeah. It's honestly a case where you super stack the SmackDown tag team division. Some of those tag teams on SmackDown can go to Raw and have good matches with the New Day. Have great matches with the War Raiders. Have 5-star do you understand that the Creed brothers versus Montez and Angelo Dawkins would be a classic? Or hell, give them Fraxium versus the Creed brothers. That's literally NXT main event level. You are going to take what we are the new tag teams on the block, and we're going to make this tag team division feel like what it was when it was FTR versus DIY. And you still have DIY.
Versus Undisputed Era.
Versus Undisputed Era. There you go. The golden age of NXT. But it doesn't seem like they're trying.
I agree with you fully. And that's surprising.
It's very surprising. It's damn near criminal. So, and now I got worked up. So, give me. I'm gonna make it quick, bro. But I'm gonna make you understand what I'm about to say.
Okay.
So, unfortunately, I have to divulge this information that the lovely right here, Miss Last Legend, did not win the Fatal 4-Way.
Hey, I saw it with Miss Jordan Grace. I saw that.
Jordan Grace is going to be at Evolution versus JC Jane. So I'm going to start this real quick. This is why I said women's tag team division is dead. You got rid of her partner, Jakar Jackson. When NXT fans, SmackDown fans, been clamoring for the day that Metaphor can come up and wreak havoc on the tag team division. Myself and the great Shooting Star went to Atlanta, NXT Atlanta in late January, and watched was possibly the most historic tag team event that I've seen, and with my 4 eyes.
That was a classic.
Yeah, with my 4 eyes, it was Metaphor versus Bianca and Naomi. It was Black Woman Magic. It was wonderful. It was everything I needed for a main event. It was, in the sense, the passing of a guard. In the sense of, you guys are ready. This is Bianca and Naomi saying to them, you guys are ready. We see great things in your future. You get rid of Jakar Jackson for whatever reason, and we're not getting into why TKO got rid of her. You understand that there are 3 events happening in Atlanta. Do I expect Last Legend to be at Saturday Night Main Event? Of course not. There's an NXT event, and there's an all-women's event that's happening on that Sunday. You give her the Bougie Bully moniker. Give her new theme. That sounds like Chicken Head. Beautifully done, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You make her into, I would say, the stalwart of the women's division right there. She was wrecking havoc in that match. I know you didn't see the match, but when I tell you that all 4 of those competitors are powerful. Jordan Grace is a powerful competitor. Jada Parker is powerful. Izzy Dame is powerful, which I did not know until I seen it. I was like, damn, Izzy Dame is really putting in some work right now. She giving some stiff arms and lifting people. It's looking like this is just a battle of the brutes.
I mean, she had to with those competitors.
She had to, right? She had to step. She couldn't be necessarily the high flyer, because maybe she's not a high flyer. I don't know. I never really watched a lot of Izzy. I don't know much of Izzy Dame's game, but there was a point in the match where I was watching. The last extender was being put on Jada Parker, and I said, "Ooh, last extender." But in the corner of the camera was Jordan Grace looking up. And I will start by saying I have no problem with Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace is a great competitor. We watched her at TNA, one of her last TNA matches. I want Jordan Grace to move up to the main roster to be part of this United States Championship with Zelina Vega and Julia. I think they'll have great matches with each other. But Jordan Grace comes in, throws Last Legend out, hits her finisher on Jada Parker. Jada Parker takes the pin. 1, 2, 3. She points at JC Jane. That is the Evolution match. It doesn't sound like I'm ranting. It sounds like I'm very calm, but I'm really holding my anger right now, bro, because you built Last Legend up to be this dominant force for her to lose in a fatal 4-way, sure. But when are you ever going to get another Great American Bash or NXT PLE in Atlanta? When are you going to get another Evolution in Atlanta, her hometown? She's right up the street from me. She went to school up the street from me. And you're telling me that you do not give her a title shot? for JC Jane's title in Atlanta, Georgia. The Black Mecca, like it's been called, but apparently now it's not the Black Mecca. You're telling me that she couldn't get a title shot? I was fully, and I talked about with you the other day, I was fully fine with Last Legend not going over against JC Jane. If JC Jane somehow beats her, or if Blake Monroe wins and she beats Last Legend, fine. I'm cool with that. You can chalk it up to her being inexperienced. This is her first time without being next to Jakar Jackson. You can work that into the storyline of this is my first time being a solo star and I missed my shot. You can bring it back to her basketball days. I shot in the air ball. But you're telling me that she can't get a title shot in her hometown where her parents are from, where her family's from, where she would get the biggest pop of the night, in my opinion, close to it. If you hear Last Legend from Atlanta, Georgia, boom, just off the strength of her being from here. And you're selling me and you JC Jane versus Jordynne Grace in an Evolution match. I do not want to see that. No offense to both of those women because they're great competitors, but I do not want to see that. I'm going to be bored by that. I can't do it. I won't do it. I'm not going to allow myself to be okay with that. The only way that they could fix this match, in my opinion, is throwing Blake Monroe in. But then you got to put her over. Blake Monroe's got to win the title then.
Oh, boy. This is not a line that I'm going to be using a lot. This is something you're going to be saying a lot. You're not going to like what I have to say.
Go ahead.
So I had to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to look at some of the decisions that have been happening recently. Ron Killings was released. Cody Rhodes, King of the Ring, anticipated. This conversation with NXT. I had told you previously that the only reason why I did not think like a Sammy versus Jay would have been like a SummerSlam match was because the names weren't big enough. If it was like if Jey Uso remained world champion. Mm-hmm. Where I'm going with this is that you can make the case that Jordynne Grace is the biggest name that was in that Fatal 4-Way. Jordynne Grace was also the sought-after free agent. What has come to my attention, and maybe I'm saying this a little too early, we're also talking about ticket prices and everything. TKO could be Vince McMahon without sexual harassment allegations. And that's the reason why we're seeing decisions play out the way they are. It's that nothing has really changed except who's in charge. And I have to also point out that before TKO seemed to really, really take over, it seemed like Triple H had a little bit more power. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, the storylines were much better, but there has definitely been a decline in some of these feuds, in some of these programs. A feud begins, they disappear, all of a sudden they reappear, and you're like, oh yeah, forgot about that. And maybe that these feuds that, you know, taking Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, Chad Gable, and Otis. Like, they're not big names, but the feuds were built in a way that the fans got behind it. Every week, the fans wanted Otis to just pummel Chad Gable.
Mhm.
Every week, the fans, they wanted Austin Theory to turn on Grayson Waller. And it seemed like even Karrion Kross, the fans clamoring for him, can barely get TV time. It's starting to feel like the big names are going to get the big times. And TKO may turn WWE into WCW.
Mm-hmm.
So while your calm crashing out is justified, you may crash out very soon too about something else. Because I think we're getting back to, oh, that was predictable. Oh, of course you want so and so to win this. Oh, of course this is the match that you want to headline. I hope that's not the case. And the only way that things change is when the pockets are hit. But even if the pockets are hit, they might use different excuses in terms of why things aren't selling the way they should. And that might lead to certain people getting fired when it's really not their fault. It's you.
Mm-hmm.
No one takes accountability. And so that's my fear, is that TKO is just another Vince, but without the baggage. And we're gonna go back to predictable wrestling, because if you really look at that fatal four-way that you were talking about, Jordynne Grace is the biggest name. Jordynne Grace is the one who, if she beat Stephanie Vaquer, people would be like, she lost to a formidable foe. And then if she went on to the main roster, cool. But with the way it's set up, maybe you and I are in the minority. Maybe most viewers would say, you know what, Jordynne Grace should have won. And she should win NXT champion. She should win the NXT Women's Championship. And then from there, the other competitors in that match become Jordynne Grace's opponents, instead of one of them facing Jacy Jayne, potentially winning, and then Jordynne Grace is still chasing. Because the one thing that TKO is very mindful of is, where's our money going? How much is this superstar getting paid? So then if Jordynne Grace has a more lucrative contract than the other competitors, well, you better push her, because what are we paying her for?
It gets to a point where, and I agree with what you're saying and your explanations of why these things are happening. But when you tell me that an Evolution ticket is $90 for lower level and $150 for the floor seat, and one of your matches is Jacy Jayne versus Jordynne Grace, you can be the biggest mark in the world. That's not moving the needle. First of all, the needle's not starting with that. So,
well, no one's really going to see Jacy Jayne. They're going to see who she loses to. So the fact that she's NXT champion walking into Evolution, it's already dampening this match with whoever won, in my opinion. Because everyone's looking at this as a short reign. So if you put Lash Legend, the pop for her in Atlanta will be great. What would it be in a different city?
Okay. And I'm glad you said that, because what I do is I take what the NXT crowd does, which is in Orlando, I believe, either Orlando or Tampa, one of those two places. I think it's Orlando. I take that crowd. I take the crowd when they go somewhere else, and I try to listen to how they get behind the star, because a lot of times NXT made stars. The NXT crowd made a lot of stars. So when when Jada Parker comes out, it's Miss Parker, it's that. When Izzy Dane came out, it was just watching Izzy Dane. There wasn't no chanting or anything like that. Fine, cool. Izzy Dane's not a chanting wrestler anyway. After Break comes out, Last Legend comes out. Whoop, whoop, get it, whoop, whoop, get it, girl. Boom. Like, they're behind her. The fourth person is Jordynne Grace. And maybe Jordynne Grace is not we root for Jordynne Grace. Like, she's not like a, theme song type of person. But there were times in that match where people were like, Lash is going to win. And this is what we need. Lash is going to win. Oh my gosh. Lash is wrecking havoc. She looked like the clear-cut winner. So if you're telling me that Jordynne Grace is going to go over against Jacy Jayne, and you're telling me that then one of these women that just lost is going to be her new competitor, you need to keep You need to keep Jordynne Grace down there for a while, because I'm sorry, Jordynne Grace can't have a short reign. You know what the easiest way to get rid of somebody, or not get rid of, but move somebody up on the roster is? From NXT to the roster, you do Kiana James way, or you do a different way where it's like you don't see them for a while and then they pop up.
Right.
Is anybody really clamoring for a Jordynne Grace NXT Women's Championship? I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know the community of what it is, but I do know how I feel, and I feel like, and you be honest with me too, because maybe it's just me, and I said this when this happened. Are you excited for a Jordynne Grace Jacy Jayne promo?
A promo? No.
Oh, great. Are you excited for a Jordynne Grace title reign in which she has to cut a promo?
Not necessarily.
Out of those four women in that match that we just seen, who's the weakest on the mic?
Probably Jordynne.
Probably Jordynne. Because at least with Izzy Dane, she's not saying much. She don't need to cut a 10-minute promo. Her promo is more psychological. I'm going to get Tatum Paxley on my side. I'm going to tell her the right things. I'm going to hand her a new Barbie doll. And that's her promo. You feel it. When you're seeing Jordynne Grace, you're not expecting promo. You're expecting in-ring work.
So from Jordynne Grace, I'm expecting the type of promo we got from Raquel Rodriguez.
And that's not good, though.
Straight and to the point. Almost kind of like how early Batista was. Before he got into his feud with Rey Mysterio and he showed a little more character. Maybe she gets better. I don't know. But she's in NXT, but she's not a rookie in the industry.
Not at all. So she should even be better than all the women that are in there. Lash is basically a 3-4 year. Jada Parker, same thing. Izzy Dane probably is maybe 3-4 years. She was the TNA Women's Champion.
Yeah.
She was literally the head dog, head woman in that business. And you're telling me that she came over to NXT and there's still not good mic work, or there's mic work that you're not excited for? You can't sell me that on a Evolution PLE, which is supposed to be this is the best women that we have. We're going to showcase our best women, and we're going to show them that this is This is why we're the best division. I'm sorry, you're the best division, quote unquote, in wrestling, and you're about to put out a Jordynne Grace versus Jacy Jayne Evolution all women's match. That's a hard sell, bro. That's a hard sell.
Don't ever speak, because you know what? These are the same people that wanted Cesaro to be world champion years back because he was so good in the ring. But on the mic, he suffered. There's a lot of superstars that had the in-ring ability, but lacked the promo skills. And the fans still wanted them to be champion. But as I told you, whenever someone who we don't want to necessarily be champion gets that opportunity, they're always going to jump over other people that we like. And again, Jordynne Grace has a name. Jordynne Grace has a physique. Jordynne Grace has in-ring ability. If she does not become NXT champion, you still can't to me, she still needs to win before she goes to the main roster. So I think give her reign now. Give her reign now. Just take it from there. And if she sucks on the mic, she sucks on the mic.
Okay.
I mean, not every champion can be good in the ring and good on the mic. That's just how I see it.
I think just for me, and I'll just wrap it up with this, it's the fact that all of the stars align and they still didn't pull the trigger on it. I'm being deadass when I say this. When are you ever going to get this? A lot of times with wrestling, it's about, and they said, a bunch of podcasts said this, the Bubba Ray Dudley podcast and, Booker T's podcast and all that. Mark Henry's talk about this. It's about catching lightning in a bottle. It's about the moment. And you're telling me that this woman in Atlanta, would it be a moment in time? You're telling me that is not as big or not as quality and not as selling tickets enough than what you have now. If you're telling me that and you just care about the storyline of Jordynne Grace getting over, then fine. In my opinion, then, there should be no Jacy Jayne reign.
Fair enough.
Plain and simple. So
I can't argue with that. I told you, it's not that I'm not excited for Jordynne Grace versus Jacy Jayne. I'm not excited for Jacy Jayne.
But the way you could make it excited for at least a Jacy Jayne match is to totally go against her in that match. Like, are you 100% going for Jordynne Grace to win? Because me personally, I would like to see Jacy Jayne win then. And that's no offense to Jordynne Grace, but at this point, the person that should take the belt off of her should either be Jada Parker, it should either be Lash Legend, or let Blake Monroe do it. Because if it's not that,
I'm fine with Jordynne Grace beating Jacy Jayne.
Okay, we're just going to have to agree to disagree on that because I'm
not going to be interested. So if Jacy Jayne beats Jordynne Grace, I'm not going to be interested in seeing Jacy Jayne face her next opponent. But the same way that, like, Jordynne Grace and Lullaby slap, like, I know that she's going to have good matches with whoever her opponents are. That's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Honestly, I'm going to say this, and it's no offense to that. When we go to Evolution that day, I'm going to be locked in wherever we're sitting at. That match, when it comes up, if there's no extra person in that match or whatever, I'm literally going to go get food, or I'm going to the bathroom because I don't care about watching that match. That match literally has no. I could miss that match and be perfectly fine with that. And that's just how I feel. So, let's just kind of wrap up with, because we didn't get into fancy booking. We'll definitely get into that next time. But after Night of Champions, let's just do predictions for Night of Champions. Well, let's do that. Predictions for Night of Champions. Do you want me to go first, or you want to go first?
Go first.
All right. So, if we are having, let's do the newest match, which is Sammy versus Karrion Kross, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Sammy versus Karrion Kross. I would like to see Karrion Kross go over, but if he does not go over, I need to see a more ruthless side of Sami Zayn because of that. Because I think Karrion Kross is not about winning, but more about making an impact on the person that he faces. So if he beats Sami Zayn, cool. He could talk all his smack about him beating it. You didn't tap into what I thought you was going to tap into. But there needs to be something in the match where I'm like, oh, Sammy is not what usually Sammy, happy-go-lucky Sammy. He's going crazy now. And I think, and we talked about this before, that needs to lead into a Sami Zayn heel turn on an eventual winning Jey Uso, I think. So that's one. Do you want to just go back and forth with it, or do you want to just do the whole thing?
We could do one by one.
Yeah, do one by one. Go ahead.
No pun intended, but I'm wrestling with this one.
Okay.
My logic tells me Sami Zayn wins the match by doing un-Sami Zayn type things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say necessarily heel stuff, but man, I feel like Karrion's whole point is to make Sammy better.
Mm-hmm.
For him to tap into something that he hasn't done, which is similar to how Cody lost to Cena at Mania. Sammy has to win by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. I don't think Karrion needs to win. So that's where I'll go with that.
All right, so I think we're both in agreement that it's going to be Sammy winning, going over in this match.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do the Queen of the Ring. So, Queen of the Ring is going to be Jade versus Asuka. I have switched my initial pick of Jade Cargill winning. I have Asuka winning. The reason why, hear me out. And this is because Cody and Randy Orton are going to face each other at King of the Ring.
Okay.
I think because they're both on SmackDown, you cannot have a then SmackDown Queen of the Ring as well. I think one has to be on one show, one has to be on the other show. I also think that Asuka's going over because we're going to see an eventual Asuka versus Io SummerSlam match, which is the exact opposite feeling that I have for Jordynne Grace and Jacy Jayne. I want to see that 10 times out of 10, 5 times on Saturday, 100 times on Sunday. Give me that in Japanese. Give me that in subtitles. Give me all of it. I want it. So I think Asuka goes over on the inexperienced Jade Cargill because I think Jade somehow, some way, she gets a title match at WrestleMania. Against Tiffany Stratton, which then Naomi cashes in, and we can talk about that with fancy booking when we talk about fancy booking in a different day. But Asuka winning. Go ahead.
I was also wrestling with this as well because I just don't know what they're gonna do to build, because they haven't really done anything with Io recently. But I'm gonna maintain that it's Jade. I'm going to say that yes, Asuka just returned, and yes, they need to maintain this momentum. And it would be kind of awkward that the runner-up got a championship opportunity anyway. But if they have to force a contender, then there's gonna have to be like a number one contenders match on Raw. And I'm just gonna stick with my original thing because Tiffy too, once she gets past Nia, she's really not gonna have anyone except the briefcase holder. But the briefcase holder, Naomi, is only gonna do it at an opportune moment.
Of course.
So Tiffany would also need a challenger just like Io would. And WWE doesn't always make sense.
Nope, it does not.
So it could very well be that Jade wins Queen of the Ring. She faces Tiffy at SummerSlam. It just so happens that somehow, some way, Asuka faces Io at SummerSlam. If we're lucky, Io versus Asuka at Evolution.
I would love that. But here's one person that can throw the entire thing off for the Raw and Asuka winning and going to SummerSlam. Rhea Ripley. If Rhea Ripley is anywhere close to a title match, she's getting it.
It's starting to feel like they're keeping her away. I don't know how long this Raquel thing's gonna last, but
I think that's just setting up a tag team match at Evolution. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
I will say next up, let's do the United States Championship match. This is going to be Solo versus Jacob. I think Jacob wins.
Ooh.
I think Jacob wins. But after the match shenanigans happens, I'm not sure Hikuleo comes out. But I have a feeling that Jacob is going to beat Solo. And I think they're going to run it back at, I don't want to say SummerSlam, and I don't want to say Saturday Main Event because it's too soon. I think they run it back in SummerSlam. I think that there's a lot of meat on this bone that they can do with the Solo and Jacob. And this is how they bring in more members of the Blood.
There is. No, I agree.
Yeah.
The running it back, I'm not going to think about only because we still have Damian Priest who expressed interest in the United States Championship. Mm-hmm. So that has to happen at some point. I do have Jacob winning. Just to not make Rikishi upset.
I mean, he's not going to be upset regardless. He's going to be upset because his son's going to lose, though.
Oh, silly me. Now I have Jacob winning. I feel like this is the beginning of a semi-long feud. And now once you get into bloodline business, it's never short term. So Jacob's gonna have to go through hell. I don't know if it's a situation where Jimmy Uso helps him when JC Mateo decides to make his presence felt, but I have Jacob retaining. To me, it's the real first meaningful title defense.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I agree with the fact that this is going to be, I feel like this is going to be the feud that at least reignites a bloodline storyline. Because we've been waiting for this. Me and you, I feel like, been waiting for the bloodline storyline to pick back up. Because it really hasn't been much besides January 6th when the Ula Fala match. That was kind of the last meaningful bloodline match. And I think this is going to bring it back and bring the new bloodline, its storyline, so that officially we are in the top of the 5th of the bloodline storyline. This is the new game. This is the new bloodline storyline. So I'm excited for that. King of the Ring, Cody versus Randy. Cody wins. The mentee beats the mentor. Would I love a Randy heel turn at the end? Sure, but I think that Cody wins and he faces John Cena, obviously, at SummerSlam, where anything can happen at SummerSlam. So maybe not yet for Randy to turn, but maybe Randy turns at SummerSlam and he's mad that he lost to Cody. And maybe he's mad that Cody lost to Cena at SummerSlam. I don't know. We're going to see that about that. But Cody wins. King Cody. May he reign. Cody Raheem Rhodes. King Cody Raheem Rhodes.
Yeah. It's Cody Rhodes.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Nothing else?
No, it's nothing else. It's just disappointing that Randy is just going to continue losing. But to me, this starts the beginning of Cody versus Randy, and this is going to be long-term storytelling. I mean, it already is, but it's going to be the first of many battles.
Right, because we haven't got a Cody versus Randy match, and I think he's been back. Has he ever had like a real legit one?
No. I don't know.
I don't think so either. So, yeah, I agree, and I feel like Randy can turn heel, and people still love him, So, I don't think Cody can turn heel anytime soon. So, Cody going over. Last match, John Cena versus CM Punk. Winning. I want to keep this, by the way, bro. I have Cena winning.
Yeah.
Not by, normal hustle, loyalty, respect ways. I think he wins by a nefarious Phantom Bell. Either a Phantom Bell or Seth Rollins interference. I'm leaning towards Seth Rollins interference, though. But I would like a Phantom Bell. That would be funny. Like a screw job. The Saudi screw job. There you go.
Okay. The only thing that makes sense to me is a Seth distraction.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only tactic that will get Punk off his game, and Cena will retain.
Agreed. So, we are in agreement that Cena is going to go over in that match, and CM Punk and Seth Rollins are going to pretty much continue their rivalry. So that is our predictions, and we are out of time. So thank y'all so much for listening. This is Mr. Flex Washington. You can follow me on the IG at Sun, as the sun in the sky, kissed as in I kiss you goodbye, sun as I'm sunning these suns from New York. So Sun Kiss Sun, all one word. Get it right, get it tight. If you love it, then we adore it. Socials or no for you, Mr. Shooting Star?
I don't even memorize these things, but at Blackjack on Instagram. That's it. Stay tuned for the next episodes.
Stay tuned. This is episode numero uno, and we are For the Love of Wrestling. We love it. We adore it. We care about it. We want nothing more to see it be great. And we don't just talk about WWE. We talk about AEW when we can. We can talk about if you give us some topics, we'll look at it now. I mean, we love wrestling now. So
That's right.
I will bid y'all adieu, like Mr. Kenny Omega says. Mwah. And we out this piece.